Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's episode of Crypto City. Tonight is a really special night because we're doing our first of a series of monthly trainings. We're very lucky to have Kipp VR here with us, and he'll be teaching us the basics of the important app Unity that's used in bringing in digital assets to many of the VR and Metaverse platforms. So this is going to be an exciting thing that we're going to do once every month, and he's going to kick us off tonight. But before we have him join us, there are a couple cool things that I thought happened the past week that I wanted to share with you all. First, OpenAI dropped a bombshell with their latest creation, Sora. It's this incredible AI model that can whip up videos from text prompts and images that look shockingly real and totally cohesive. And if you think about it, you give it some words or a picture and it churns out a whole minute-long video that feels like it was actually crafted by a human director. So what's really cool is how Sora blends the powers of ChatGPT and DALL-E together to kind of grasp physical dynamics and keep things super detailed in the shots that it generates. So one of the cool things, too, is it's not just static scenes. Sora throws in some really cool camera moves and like vivid emotions on the characters' faces, and it can even insert scenes into already existing videos. So this is going to be a really cool thing to see. And right now, they're only letting like a select few get their hands on it, like the red teamers and the creators, to get some like early feedback. And, before they give it out to the masses, but, it's coming. And now we don't know the exact training data that they used, but one of NVIDIA's experts stated that they think that it might have been pulled from Unreal Engine's synthetic data. So basically, it's like Sora's been honing in its skills in all sorts of worlds, real and imagined. So bringing AI to, a whole nother level. And, you might ask, well, so what do we care about this? Everybody's doing AI now and everything. Well, this just isn't a small step in video tech. It's actually like a giant leap, because with Sora in the mix, we're edging closer to videos that could almost pass off for the real deal. And we already seen some online that you really don't know if it's the real actor or not. So, that's both mind-blowing for creativity, but it's also kind of scary when you think about the mischief that you could potentially get into with this. So, the bottom line on it is, the game just changed big time in the world of AI-generated videos. And then another thing I wanted to share was, I don't know how many of you might have heard, but Apple's latest move, they snatched up the domain iwork.ai, and that's sparking some rumors of exciting developments in their application suite. So, they use like Pages and Numbers and Keynote, and there's a few other programs in there that they, a lot of people use them regularly instead of Microsoft Office. So it seems like Apple might be gearing up, to shine a spotlight on the AI features within these apps for everyone. So, Apple, they're not a stranger to buying up domain names. So, it might not be anything, but it could be. And this latest acquisition has caught some attention. But, speculation's flying around about whether or not this, they're trying to do like a big time like relaunch to be a bigger competitor with Microsoft Office and Google Docs, because, Google Docs has also risen up and people are using that instead of Microsoft Office because it's cheaper. In many cases, everything is free if you're using it for personal use and, generating some stuff. The slides we do here every week are in Google Docs. So, right now it looks like, this might be coming. So keep your eyes peeled. This is going to be interesting. And the last thing I wanted to share with you, I know a lot of people in here are doing little startups of business within the metaverse and sometimes in real life too. And for a while, until your business gets up and running, you might be a one-man show and you're trying to juggle all the different aspects of your business. So there is an app called Lindy.ai, and it's like the ultimate productivity sidekick. It's all about streamlining your day-to-day tasks with the power of AI. So with Lindy, you can automate tasks like scheduling meetings and sending emails and managing your calendar, all those types of things, which I know a lot of programs out there do that right now, but this is all AI powered. And you're not just limited to the preset features that it comes with, because you can actually customize it to fit your unique needs by creating your own templates for the different tasks And it's like kind of having your own little personal assistant that's always running for you, so you can focus on your regular, day-to-day tasks that you're trying to grow your business, and let Lindy sit there in the background handling, emails that come in. If they're asking this type of question, check these documents. There was even one they were showing as an example where you could upload your handbook, and any emails that came into, like, say, your HR email, if the question came in, they could go and search in the Google Doc of your handbook and find the answer to kick back to the person for you. So you're not even having to be involved in that process. So as this keeps growing and, they keep massaging it and manipulating it to get it exactly where they want, this is going to really help some people that are smaller, help alleviate some of their time and boost efficiencies. So that's great. But speaking of streamlining and getting down to business, tonight, like I said, we're going to have Kipp VR here to help teach us about Unity. So everyone, please give a warm welcome to Kipp VR.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
How you doing, City?
Welcome back, I should say.
You so much.
Thank you. So I just told everyone you're going to tell us everything we need to know about Unity on the basic level. Because we don't have 6
I'll
years
tell
for you
you a
to teach
little
us
bit
everything. Exactly.
about what you need to know on the basic level. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Definitely.
So, grab a seat.
All right. Let's see.
So, one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on and talk about this is because Unity is used in so many of the VR metaverse platforms to bring digital assets in, whether it's avatars or, world building, even, different assets within the world. So, you've been doing this now for quite a while, and, Unity is pretty cumbersome, and I thought it would be, some people out there might be interested in trying their hand at bringing some stuff in, but wouldn't even know where to start with Unity. So I thought navigation would be a great piece of it.
Oh yes. With any software that you want to learn, navigation it is the number one thing. You know what I'm saying? Just being able to navigate the software, knowing where certain things are, and even though I have been in Unity for a little bit, there are still things that I'm learning every single day. Eventually I want to expand, going, above Unity over to Unreal Engine, because I know as the metaverse starts to grow, things of that nature, we're going to see either us either going a step up to like maybe the Unity HD level or crossing over to Unreal Engine. Maybe. I mean, that's just a prediction, so yeah. But yeah. You definitely want to know navigation and everything, to set your scene up. Whether you're using scripts, texture, lighting, because it's one thing to build something in another application like Blender, or if you're using Pro Builder to build inside of Unity, or you're using Maya, or Cinema 4D, whatever program that you're using. When you bring it into your game engine, your game engine is what's going to add that functionality to your world. So modeling is one thing, but then you have to add functionality to it, and that's where Unity comes into play.
And that's what people refer to as scripting. That's when you're telling an object or something to behave in a certain fashion.
Well, you're using scripting, whether you're using C# or you're using VR chats scripting, which is Udon Sharp. Then you have a lot of Unity's scripts that are built in, which you have your components and stuff, to add functionality to certain things. But it just depends on what you're building your platform for, whether you're building an Android or an iOS game, or if you're building a world for spatial or VR chat.
Mm-hmm. So, to your knowledge, like right now, we're in VR chat, and they use Unity to bring stuff in. You just said spatial. I think Cluster does as well. But Horizon Worlds does not use Unity. It uses a different type of technology, but it is supposed to be migrating over there, correct, with the addition of Mesh?
Word of mouth. That's the that's the rumor that's going around, that eventually they're going to have functionality with Unity. I don't do too much building. Well, I have to do no building over on Horizons, but
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand with TriMesh, a couple of builders have access to TriMesh once they're monetized and stuff. And I don't really know the process of how they're bringing their assets and stuff into the world. But once it opens up to the public, you best to believe I'm gonna get on that ASAP. And be able to bring the community knowledge in regards to how that's done as well.
So would you say, in your opinion, whether you're building here or in Horizon, Unity is still something that you should have at least a basic knowledge of how to use in order to, work within these metaverses? Okay.
Oh, definitely. Mostly every application that you have on your headset is built with Unity. Now you have some applications that's been built with Unreal that's been ported out and then brought over into Unity. You know what I'm saying? But Unity is the is one of the backbones of Zuckerberg's metaverse.
Okay. All right. So, well, with that, why don't we get started? Well, Kipp is actually going to stream for us. Blue is going to connect us, and we'll be able to watch as Kipp gives us a little navigation tour. So let's see if we can get this up on the screen, and when we'll get you going.
All right, now I see a lot of my students in the crowd today. As a matter of fact.
Right. While we're getting this up, we should mention that. So on Kipp's Discord, I know a lot of you in here are already on it. At the end of the class, we're going to put up a link so that you'll be able to see where to go. But Kipp very generously has been holding Blender classes in his Discord on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Meta Jackie was helping out for a bit too. And, he's teaching us some of the basics. I actually am taking the class. I'm loving it. He's teaching us some of the basics of Blender, which is a very comprehensive program that has so many different things to learn. And eventually, once we finish our little Blender project, we will bring it into Unity so that we can upload it into VR chat. So
we'll definitely be going over to Unity, and some of the things I'm going to show you tonight will definitely be within the first week or two of our Unity horses and stuff. So this basically is some basics. Now, I didn't want to go through the whole process of actually showing you how to start a session in Unity and things of that nature. Reason being is because the application sometimes can take a little bit of a while to load and open. So I'm starting with an already created scene. So I'm going to show you how to bring in your FBX models, how to set up like basic materials, textures, and even walk through some lighting tips. Yep,
nice.
Yep. And then we'll have Aussie guy come on to teach us about occlusion calling.
That will be next month. That's next month.
I'll see you over
Little
there.
teaser there. Next month's training session will be with Aussie guy.
All right. So normally when y'all see me in VR chat and y'all see my head looking up at the clouds like this is because I am at my system. Now, due to the streaming, there will be a little bit of a delay. So just keep that in mind, please. So you're probably seeing inside of my asset window, you have a couple of different windows here. You have your 3D viewport, which you can see up here, the scene that shows your scene. You have your hierarchy of where you place your assets once you bring them into this window down here, which is your asset window that's below the 3D screen. So I'll let that catch up a little bit. So this is your asset window down here. And then over here, once again, is your hierarchy, and then this is your inspector. Now, normally when you click on things that you have in your scene, in your hierarchy, it'll show you that information over in your inspector. All right, now, for right now, don't pay too much attention to these tabs up here. These are just, these are more functionality tabs. Like if I'm using the VR Chat SDK, you'll see that up there. My lighting tab, and then my world debugger. But we'll get into that later on down the line. All right, so to start, I'm going to go over here to a folder that I've created called structure. This is normally when you bring in models into your Unity scene, you want to create a folder so you can kind of keep things organized. So inside of this folder, I have my FBX model, and then I have my Blender file, which looks identical to it. But once you click on it, at the bottom down here, you'll see the name of the file, where it's located, and the file type. So this is your Blender type, and over here is my FBX model. To the left of that, I have my texture folder, which has some of my textures in it, which I imported over from Blender. Over here is your project hierarchy as well. You know, if you want to quickly navigate to some of your folders, some of your packages, or run searches on certain things. All right, so first and foremost, what you want to do is you want to click on your model, and over in your inspector, you're going to see these tabs come up. And since this is not an avatar and we're just working with a regular model, we're just going to leave it all of this information as generic. We're going to go over here to our model, and we're going to scroll down, and right here where it says generate light map UV, we want to always check this. Now some builders, you know what I'm saying, they'll optimize their meshes, and they'll sometimes turn mesh compression on. Depending, you can do that, you know, but if you have something that's high in geometry and you start to do mesh compression, keep an eye on the compression, because it can kind of take away a little bit of your geometry. So for this session, I'm not going to do mesh compression, but just keep that in mind. So once you have your generate light map UVs checked, you just want to come down here to apply and click apply. And let's see that get called up here on the screens here.
Now, while that's catching up, what is mesh compression? What does it actually mean? What is it doing?
Okay, so mesh compression is basically well, like I said, I'm from a music background, right? so a lot of the things that I've discovered with scenes and stuff, it also corresponds to like compression in music and things of that nature. You're taking your mesh, you're optimizing it so it won't have like a lot of polygons, triangles, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. But
so you're reducing the size.
Yes, but at the same time, it can take away from your model. You know what I'm saying? It can make it look a little bit blocky, you know what I'm saying, things of that. It can make it look low poly, you know, and if that's the look that you're going for, after you do mesh compression, then so be it. But if not, there are other ways in order to optimize your scenes to have them, you know, optimized for your worlds and stuff. All right, so that is caught up. So we're gonna drag our model into the scene up here. One moment. On the screen there, and I'm going to zoom in.
So you're literally just clicking and dragging it into the main window.
Yes. So you could take the if you want to start at the center of your scene, instead of dragging it into the 3D window, you drag it up into your hierarchy. You can just drag it and drop it into your hierarchy, and it'll always place your model at either the origin point of what you set your origin point in Blender, or it will drop it into the Unity center, into the Unity center of your scene. All right, so in here we have a little model, we have a sphere, we have a cube, a couple of walls, and a little light here. Now, normally, if you're setting up like you're doing materials in here, you want to create you a folder by right-clicking in the empty space down here in your asset window. You'll see that catch up in a moment, and you'll go up to where it says create. You'll see a massive menu open in front of you, and you'll find at the top where it says folder. So you'll create your folder, and you'll call it materials, or whatever you would like to call it. Now I'm going to go back over here down into the asset window and go to my structure, and I'm going to go into my inspector over to the far right and click on materials, and I am going to extract my materials right below materials. So it's going to ask me where do I want to place these or what folder they want to go into. So I'm going to select my materials folder and then select folder, and it'll unpack those materials that I used into that folder. All right, so once that is done, we're going to hit apply down here to apply it. All right, and so now if I go back over to my materials folder and double click on it, I have my materials that I have in my scene down here. Because if I didn't extract those materials, I wouldn't have access to manipulate the materials. I would have to actually create a new material and then, drag and drop it onto the scene. And you can do that by just literally dragging and dropping a material, just like this. You'll see that update in a moment.
I'd like to point out to the audience, if you're in a quest and you have a little bit of a delay, it's got to catch up when Kipp's talking. If you're in PCVR on PC, you're seeing it a little bit more real time. The recording is done on PC, so when you go back to watch this later on YouTube or Discord, it's more aligned with the speech and the screen at the same time, just so you're aware.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to place some material on... We're going to create a new material and we're going to place it on the sphere and place one on our cube. So in order to do a new material, you would go down here to your asset window in your materials folder. You'll right click and you'll go up to create. And once the big menu opens up, you'll go down and select material. So you can name your materials. Let's name this blue glossy, because we're going to turn this material blue. All right, so once we have that material named, let's see here. All right, so once that material is named, we're going to click on it, go over to our inspector window, and right here for the albedo, there's a little color block here. You can just click on that and it brings up your color wheel. So you can just place your mouse over the color that you want and then select that color between white, black, and the actual color. And then from there, you can close that window out. And now if you see my blue color is set, but it's not glossy, but we're going to get to. So I'm going to drag and drop my material onto the scene and just drop it on that cube, and it's there now. All right. So now we're going to create another material. We're going to call this one purple glossy. All right, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go over to our inspector tab, and we're going to change this color to a purple. And then drag and drop that onto our sphere. Just like that. All right, so as you see, these materials, they have like a matte color to them, but we want to make them glossy. So in order to do that, we'll click back on our material, and over here in your inspector window, you have some options. You have metallic and you have smoothness. Now smoothness, if you turn that up, it'll add a smoothness to our sphere that you can see. You can see the reflection of the world in it now. And just to make that a little bit more defined so you can see the world, we're going to back out here real quick. I'm going to go into my texture folder and show you guys how to do a skybox. So now inside of my texture folder, I have this HDRI here. HDRI basically is a high resolution 360-degree image that you can use, and there are lots of websites out there where you can get these type of photos from. So I'm going to right click on it. Well, my apology, not right click. I'm going to go over to my inspector window, and I'm going to go down to my texture shape, and I'm going to change my texture shape to a cube. Because in Unity, it uses a cube map to do skyboxes. Well, they use a lot of different maps, but the one that a lot of platforms use are cube maps. So once I change it to a cube, I go down here and I click apply, and let that catch up, and we'll turn it into a sphere. So if you see on the screen right now, you see it as it's 2D. But once I change it to a cube, and let's see here, and go down and click apply, you'll see that process, and it changes it to a sphere. All right. So now at this point, there are two ways to do this. You can go over to your lighting tab and change out your skybox, or you can create a skybox material, which normally that's what I do. I'll create a skybox material. So we'll right click in an empty area to do that. We'll go up to create. We'll select material, and I'm going to name this skybox. All right, so once I create that material, and then we'll name it. And then from there, we'll go over to our inspector tab, and we'll go up to the top for our shader type, and we'll change it to a cube map skybox. All right. And then once we change it to our skybox, all we have to do then is just go back over to our asset window, and we'll take our skybox material and we'll drag it over into the inspector window and place it on the cube map texture spot. And as you see, the material down here just updated. Now from that point, you'll take your skybox material that you created, and you will just simply drag and drop it into the background of the skybox in your scene. And you have your skybox. Now, if I go back over to my sphere, you can now see a reflection of the skybox in my sphere from when I make it glossy. So let's go back out here, go back over to our materials folder, click on our glossy here. Now, once you make it glossy, you do have the option to make it metallic in your inspector window over here, so you can turn that up, and it gives more of a metallic shade to it. Yeah, from there you can alter your colors a little bit, because mine was purple, but now with the gloss, with the metallic, it kind of made it a little bit more kind of bluish. So yeah, let's do that. Alter our color settings a little bit.
Now, when you're doing all this and you're changing your colors and your reflectiveness and all of that, so there's, it's kind of what you're looking for when you're getting your output. So, you might have in your head, like you said, I want something blue glossy. What you're thinking is blue glossy, and what I'm thinking is blue glossy might not be the same amount of reflection and shine. So it's, it's kind of as you play with it as you're doing it and figure out what you want as the output. So it's not a hard, fast set rule. It has to be, 0.58 or, 1.2. It's whatever you like when you're seeing it.
Exactly. What you see, how you see it, if that's what you want, then that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. And, it gives you a little bit of freedom to play too. I mean, because it's almost like the difference between baking and cooking. When in baking, it's very precise and everything has to be exact. But when you're cooking, you can add a little bit more spice, fool around with it a little bit, and get it to come out the way that you want.
Exactly. Now, with doing these materials, we're going to leave this blue and matte and leave this one glossy. So you see how these materials are done. Now, in my scene here on my walls, as you see, I have 3 different colors. When you set up your when you set up your colors in whatever program that you're using and you export it over, that data is carried over with your FBX model. So now, if I wanted to, I could take this green material here and I could place it on that wall. I could take my pink material here and switch them out. I could put my, well, this one here, there, and you can mix and match those however you want, whatever colors that you're using. If you want to use textures, you can use textures. Now, for this particular session, I did not prepare a texture to put onto these materials, but we will get into that in our Discord classes, because it does involve something called UV unwrapping. You know what I'm saying? Where you actually place the texture onto your model and get it the way you want to before you bring it in.
Mm-hmm.
So now, okay, say for instance you have all of this set up the way you want it, right? And if you notice in here, with all of these colors and shadows, everything looks kind of, how can I put it, bland, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can add things in here for lighting. So like, let's go up here but what we're going to do first, though, we're going to take Unity's directional light for right now, and we're going to mute that out, and we're going to darken everything up in here a little bit. You can add. So
by directional light, that means that's why it's casting a shadow, because it's coming from one direction.
Yes, and it's your world sun, the sun of your world and stuff. If you were to, let's turn it back on for a second. If you were to go to your sun scene here, and now over here is your different tabs for manipulating your world. You have a view tool, a move tool, a rotate tool, a scaling tool, a rectangular tool for when you want to move your walls, make them bigger, smaller, make your project wider. It's kind of like scaling. And then you have your transform tool. Now, me personally, I use a transform tool because it has all of these tools combined into one. I hate having to switch back between different type of tools. I love being able to have, just everything at my disposal. So I use my universal tool. So now with that sun, we can go to our rotation here, which is the circles that's going around, and you can adjust your directional light of how it casts the light in your world. So if you're making a scene where you have a house that's on the beach and you have sun that's in the distance, and you want to cast light through your windows for the shadows to pour down onto the floor, you can do that. But you would have to go through a process called baking, which I'm going to show you. Foremost, I'm going to show you a bake without the directional light in the world. What we're going to do is we're going to go up to our game object tab up here. And this tab allows you to bring in different shapes and different effects into your world, from 3D objects to particles to lighting, audio, video, visual effects, all of that stuff. So we're going to go to light, and we're going to use a point light. And as you see, it came into the Unity Center, so we're going to bring it up into here. And you'll be able to see me moving this light up and down in one brief moment. And I'm just going to position it into the corner of our room here. Now, when you bring this light into the world, you have a couple of different options that you can play around with, such as your range, your intensity, multipliers, the color of it, all types of things. Like right here, you can see me messing with the intensity of the light. You can make it brighter, lower, whatever suits you. Now, when you're building worlds, you have to be very careful when you're bringing in multiple light sources. Multiple light sources can really bring down the optimization of your world. You want to be able to bake your lights in. So in order to do that, I have to make sure that everything in my scene that I want to receive lights and that I want to cast lights is set on something called static, meaning that these objects do not move. All right, so what we're going to do is you're going to see me in the window going up to my inspector, and in the top right hand corner, there's going to be a little box that says static. I'm going to check that for my light that I'm casting and also for my scene. So over here in my hierarchy, you're going to see my mouse around a little blue game object. And I'm going to click on that and I'm going to set it to static. And I'm going to get a window that's going to come up that's going to ask me, do I want to change everything in that folder to static? So let's wait for that update. All right, so there's the my game object that I'm hovering around, and now I'm going to go over to my inspector window after I click on it and change that box to static, and it's going to ask me, do I want to change everything in my folder, which is children. So I'm going to, yes, change my children. So now everything in this little folder here, once I click my drop down box, is set on static. Everything is on static. All right. So now that all of that is set on static, I can start to bake my lights now, but I still have to set up a couple of things. So first and foremost, I have to go up here to my window. Let's see here. Let's see here. I'm going to remove the tab that I currently have up here so I can show you guys how to bring it in. So we're going to go up to window. We're going to go down to rendering and we're going to select lighting. And it's going to bring in this window. If it comes in big, just shrink it back down. After that, you can dock it, and if you grab the top tab of any window in Unity, you can dock it anywhere around the world. So I'm going to dock it over here by my inspector window. Now, light settings can vary depending on the environment. We're not going to really get into all of those different settings that you can go through because there are a lot of them. So I'm just going to give a quick setup of my lighting settings that I use. So I'm going to create a new lighting setting, which is going to put it down here. All right, I'm going to change this to a bake indirect because it takes up a little bit less power. Well, a little bit less space than baking subtractive and shadow mask. All right, hold on, let me open that up right here. Let's change this to GPU. If you have a GPU, you might want to use your GPU because if you use your CPU can take a longer time than your GPU. So keep that in mind. Let's see, let's uncheck this. Let's change this. Change this. I'm going to take my size down because I don't really need to create a large light map. For my light map compression, I use none. I make my light maps pretty big and then I might decide to compress them later. I use ambient occlusion
Did you lose
as
audio?
well.
So the light map is how it affects the entire world.
Yes, it does.
It's the megaphone.
It affects the entire world. So you just want to make sure that that depending on the size of your world, will also depending on how many light maps you have. To all of you that came to the NYE event that we had in Times Square. Now, some worlds can have like maybe 2 or 3 light maps. But the NYE world, I believe it had 96 light maps. 96
Wow.
of them.
Okay.
And that was a lot.
So does that mean you could have different types of lighting in different parts of your world? So like you could have directional in one area and static in another?
A directional light will cover the entire world.
Okay.
But now point lights, spotlights, area lights, and then using emissives. Now emissives, I use a lot of emissive lights in my worlds. I rarely use point lights. I rarely
Hmm.
use spotlights, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? But depending if it calls for it, like if I'm making like a game world or something like that, or
Hmm.
like in here, this world here is basically lit by that emission that's above everyone's head. That's on Crypto City. You have a couple of emissive lights that are on the frames here that lights the world, but here in the center where we're sitting at a point light right there was baked into the world. So it has its uses. It definitely has its
Okay.
uses. All right. So once you have your lights in and you have all of your settings set up, let's see here. You're going to come down here to this little bitty tab right here that says generate lighting and just click it. All right, we're going to see that on the screen here very shortly. Oh, I had to change the setting right there real quick. And then just click generate lighting. And then it starts. So it analyzes the scene and then
Hmm.
it starts to bake the lighting. But since the world is so small, you know, it doesn't take that much time to bake it. It only took like 3 seconds to bake it. You
Hmm.
know, but depending on the size of your world, it can take anywhere from 3 seconds to 3 hours,
Okay.
depending on the type of computer that you have. All of that stuff comes into play. If you got like a high end video card, you can a bake that may take this guy over here 2 hours may take you 20 minutes.
Hmm.
So it
Because
just
of
it just
processing.
depends.
So let
Mhm.
me ask you a question. One thing that, I mean, I know this is just an example that you're showing everybody a little bit of, some of the steps, but in reality, one thing you haven't done, I'm asking, would you normally do is save? Because you haven't saved anything. Would you normally save as you go, or would you save as, because for instance, once you bake that lighting, can you unbake it? Or is it once
Yes.
it's done, it's done? So,
Yes, you can definitely clear it out. So down here under generate lighting, there's a little drop down arrow over in the far right hand corner. You should see that in a moment. You'll click that drop down arrow, and a little there's a little option there to clear baked data. So you can click on that, and I'll do that now,
hmm.
and it'll clear out your lighting, and
Okay.
then you can click generate lighting again, and then you can rebake. You can rebake your
So it
lights
is a
as
little
many times
forgiving.
as you want to. Oh yes, oh yes,
Okay.
oh yes. And now there is also another option of auto generate lighting. I don't use that because my video card is I wouldn't say it's super high end, and I don't got time
Hmm.
for it to be generating lighting every 5 seconds when I'm changing stuff and stuff like that. But you do have that option.
Hmm.
Now this is baking just a point light in the world. So I'm gonna clear that out and I'm gonna set up another type of bake for you guys. I'm gonna also mute out my point light and go back to a blend scene. I'm gonna let that update while I get that color set up. Now that material that you see down in my asset window, the one that has it's just a solid white color.
Hmm.
That's an emission. So I'm going to click on that, and as you see, I'm going to hover my mouse around the emission section. I can grab that and turn it on and off, and that is also a light. So I can go in here, I can change the color of it. Let's do a different color here, like maybe that one or something like a light peachy type of color. Yeah. All right, and then once I click on it, I can also turn up the intensity down here of that light. Now you don't see this updating in the world. You just see basically just the color change. You don't actually see it giving off any light. It doesn't
Hmm.
give off any light like the point lights and the directional lights until you actually bake this data into your scene. So
Okay.
with that set up now, And I have that lighting in place. I'm going to go over here to my lighting tab now, and I'm just going to click generate lighting.
Now, also, we should mention that in some instances, for example, if you're in your Quest and you're in here and you're looking at this stuff, you're not going to see bloom that's involved in lighting. Whereas if you're in PC, you will see bloom,
Right.
which is the glow that comes out from the lighting. So sometimes you'll
And that
see it in
ambient
certain
glow.
worlds and you won't in others.
Hopefully though, that's now see that's another thing that I am desperately waiting on for the metaverse to evolve into is where we're able to go into worlds and we can see the ambient glow from just like PC users can, you know what I'm saying, be able to see that
Hmm.
bloom because it is
Hopefully.
beautiful. All right, so
Hmm.
as you see with the updated scene now, after I bake my lighting, you can see the light that has been generated by that emission. Mhm. So now, depending on how you work, you can put these type of lights like all over your scene. Let's duplicate this. Let's duplicate that, and they're already on static. So I'm going to clear that out and rebake those again. So now, in order to duplicate an object, you just click on it and then hit Control D to duplicate it, or you can go up to your Game Object tab and duplicate it. But I use Control D. And we're going to clear that out, and we're going to bake our lighting again. All right, just wait on that. Okay, and it bakes in. So if all of you guys, you know what I'm saying, y'all world hop a lot, and you will notice that certain worlds that you come into they have this they have this warmness to it. You know, you see the lights from lamps and ambient glow from little cubes sitting on the ground. You know what I'm saying? All of that stuff. All of these things play a important part in the whole immersion process of immersing you into a world. You know, so when it comes to building in Unity, or uploading worlds into VR chat, lighting plays a massive portion of that. So as you start for you guys who want to learn Unity, learning how to do light mapping is a rewarding experience, to bring something in, and it feels just you can actually feel the warmth of a baked world, as opposed to stepping into something and it just feels cold. So
Hmm.
lighting is very important. A, a,
Hmm.
a good balance between metallics and gloss and matte textures, you know what I'm saying, and then your lighting and stuff. All of that stuff plays a massive part. Like I don't know if anybody Wispy Woo. A lot of her worlds are beautiful, lit light baked worlds and stuff. Beautiful light maps. Choosing beautiful light maps. You know what I'm saying? Aussie guy got some beautiful worlds with light mapping. You know what I'm saying? I've been to Pocky. Pocky got some
Hmm.
beautiful worlds. One his lounge world is really really nice. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just when it comes to light baking, this is definitely something a useful tool. Definitely a useful
Okay.
tool.
Yeah, lighting can definitely make the instance have a very, very special feel.
hmm And I'm gonna clear my bake data. I'm gonna uncheck. Well, I'm gonna recheck my directional light. Recheck my directional light here, but we're going to move it and do a little bit of adjusting here. Hold one moment to show you a shadow over here on this wall right there. Let's see here. Let's kind of do that right there. And then we're going to go back to our lighting tab. And we're going to bake our lights again. So you're going to see me adjust this sun here. We're going to put a shadow over here on that wall. And I get that adjusted. There we go. And then we're going to bake up. Oh, my apology. That is incorrect. Your directional light also has to be placed on static. So you'll click on your directional light, go to your inspector, and make sure that static is on. Change your mode. You can put it on mixed, you know what I'm saying mixed covers for like shadows and stuff like that of people in your world. But I'm going to put mine on baked, and then we're going to go back over to lighting and regenerate. And I'll show you. I'm going to move around one of these objects and stuff to show you. One moment. Give it a second to update. Righty. All right, so that light is now baked in. So we have our emission lights that's on our wall. We have our directional light over here that's baked in. Now, as you see, it casts those shadows. But now if I
Mm-hmm.
click on this sphere and I move it, it moves, but the shadow doesn't. And you'll
Oh.
see that in. Here we go. So our emissive lights have baked in, our directional light. And if we click on our sphere and move it, as you see, it moves, but the shadow doesn't. The reason why is because the lighting that's in the scene has been baked into the scene. To give the illusion, the illusion
Of a
of real
shadow.
time lights, stuff
Mm.
like that.
So now if you wanted to move that object, you'd have to go back and clear out that
Yes.
baking and redo it. Okay.
Yes. Now there are other techniques that are also used when it comes to lighting that we had to do over in spatial. I haven't really done it over here on VR chat yet, but the use of lighting probes. You know what I'm saying? You put lighting probes in your world, and as you move objects around the world, they're affected by the light probes. You know what I'm saying? So if you get close to a wall and it's casting a reddish light, you'll actually see it pick up on the
Mm-hmm.
object as you move it around. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I am so sorry, y'all. At the same time, I have home life. I have a give me one moment. Give me 10 seconds. 10 seconds. 10
Mm-hmm.
seconds.
So while he's taking care of that, a couple things I wanted to mention earlier. He was talking about the sky boxes and the imagery that you can get in many places. So skyboxes need to be a 360 image. So you can't just find a beautiful picture of a sunset and throw it into a skybox without it being, it has to be a 360 image or it's not going to lay out correctly in the world. But there will be some worlds that you go into and you'll see that when the 360 image was created, there's a big seam coming down. If they didn't do it really that well, you'll see a giant seam going down the back of the world because the image is wrapped. One of the better places that you can find some good 360 images is Google. Google Maps has a 360 image generator from certain places that you can get some from there. There's also skybox programs that you can go into. In previous episodes, we've also talked about some AI websites that have skyboxes that you can get as well. And some of these images, like that he has in here, this little world and the little avatar and stuff. He mentioned it was an FBX image that he brought in. So there's places that you can get some to work with if you want to play around. You could go on CG Trader and search for free. There's a little box you can check off for free images and stuff, free assets, I should say. And when you do that, it'll show you the different modes that those assets will work in. It might say OBJ, FBX, like those different extensions. So you want to make sure you're bringing in the right file type to work with, but there are places that you can get your own. So you're obviously not going to have this one here for yourself to work with, but you can get images to work with like that on some of the websites like CG Trader and Sketchfab, places like that.
Yes.
There's also
Yes, definitely.
an asset store. When you're inside Unity, there's an asset store that you could go into. So as you progress and you're ready to actually bring in an asset that you want, maybe it's something that you do actually pay for because you found exactly what you were looking for. But when you're practicing and learning how to play around, there's plenty of free stuff that you can bring in and manipulate with.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Like I use Unity's asset store like a lot. Poe, Poe has shared like dozens and dozens of assets with me because in the Unity store you can create teams, Unity teams and stuff. So you can share, you can add people to your team, and they can share in your assets and stuff like that. There are Polygon.com. You can get dozens of assets there. Sketchfab, CG Trader. There are lots of places to where you can even if you're not going to be, how can I put it, building in Blender like that. You can actually go and grab models from different websites and bring them into Unity, texture them the way that you want to, add colors and stuff, and bring that stuff right into the platform. It doesn't. You could become a master asset manipulator.
Yeah, and you know what?
So yeah.
Back when Altspace was around, I used to make kits all the time, and I never made any
Hmm.
worlds, I never made any avatars, but I would go in and I would get little assets from CG Trader and bring them in, play in Unity with them, apply materials and textures. I'd bring in something that was ugly and gaudy gold, and I'd bring it in and
Hmm.
I'd play with the reflections, and then I'd play with and I next thing you know, I'd have a pretty little purple reflective object, or whether it was silver, whatever color I chose for it. So you can bring things in, and like you were showing, changing the colors of the walls, you can apply your
Hmm.
own, do whatever you want with it.
Yes, you can. You can get some of these assets right, and you could retexture them to your fashion and create whole model packs. You know what I'm saying? Packs of items and stuff that you could make a little side money on the side, things like that with, because for us as builders and stuff, I'm not gonna lie, I sometimes hate making furniture. I wish I could just go and tell someone that I would like some furniture that's modeled like this or something. You know what I'm saying? And
Have it
they
generated for you.
exactly. But yeah, yeah. Hmm. But yeah, that brings me to the end of my light mapping. It gets more extensive than that, but I would advise a lot of you who want to get into Unity, to join our classes. Right now we're still in the Blender portion, but once we start crossing over into Unity, we're definitely going to put out some communications and promotions to people to let them know that we're starting that portion of the class, because it's this is just as deep as Blender is, and not even to mention the scripting and adding functionality to certain stuff and creating certain games and things like that. I've met a couple of scripters here on the VR chat platform. They can pretty much just about script anything, and I'm just at a basic novice level of going into Chat GPT and having Chat GPT generate thing scripting and codes and stuff for me, and then I'll bring it into Unity. Unity will give me a it'll give me an error saying that this that and the third is incorrect, and so I'll take that, copy and paste that into Chat GPT, and then Chat GPT will analyze the error, spit me out another code. I'll bring that in, and so. But over the past couple of months, I've started to figure out a lot of terminology in the scripting, though. So it has been a learning process as well. So yeah, AI is a great tool,
It
great tool
sure
in
is.
scripting.
So we can see up here on the board, this is Kipp's Instagram. If you go on there, there'll be links to other things, but this Discord link, this is actually a Discord invite. This will be posted in our Discord later on. So if you want to join Kipp's Discord for the Create a Kickback, you can, get that off of the slides from tonight's show. And then also Kipp has a Patreon. And those of you who have been, inside of any of Kipp's worlds, his worlds are beautiful. Talk about the lighting. There's apartment complexes with beautiful ambient lighting in it. You talked about the lighting in here. I mean, we've played with this in the off season. If you remember last season, the audience was super lit up. This time we've kind of, made it a little bit more of a softer feel with the audience a little bit darker and the stage lit up a bit. I mean, and again, lighting baked into the world. So these are, you know, I don't expect anybody out there who's not world building to go home tonight and do this little exercise and be like, look, I made 12 worlds. Like, that's just not what's going to happen. It takes some time, but this is to give you a little bit of a foundation to understand how the lighting is working, how to kind of navigate around within Unity. But there's so much to learn. I mean, I've been doing your blended classes with you. We're in what, week 8 now, or class 8, and there's so much we've done already, and we've only barely scraped the
Only
surface.
scratch the surface. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely,
So I mean,
definitely.
it's a good thing to get in with, and even if you're never going to build a world, go in, play around so you understand a little better. Because I'll tell you one thing, the first thing I learned when I started playing around in Unity, besides the fact that it was going to take quite a while, was the fact that I had a new appreciation for the work that the world builders do. Because, yes, creating an actual world and being like, ooh, I want to have a room that's got this, and this. The ideas might come fast and furious, but to put it together and have it come out looking as good as it does. I mean, we've all been to worlds within, whether it's VR, Chat, Horizon, or whatever. When you're in a super low poly world and you're just like, yeah, this looks like something a 4-year-old built with Legos. And then you go into a world where somebody took the time to actually put in a little bit of effort and make all the little touches that just make it look so much more real.
And I've done that.
That's insane. And that comes from the work within Blender and Unity and the software, the way you're actually, manipulating it to make it look.
Yo. When I first started building, oh my God, I would go into one of my worlds, and I'll look around. I'll be like, yeah, this is hot. Then I'll go to another world. And I'm like, oh, bruh, I got some work to do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking around and stuff, and yeah, man. So it's a learning process, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. As a matter of fact, make as many mistakes as you can because you learn from them. So definitely.
And I would say the other thing is there's a lot of world builders in here, and I'm not going to say all of them are approachable, but I will say that a good portion of them are approachable if you are serious and you are wanting to learn, and you go to them, whether whether it's Kipp or Aussie or Marcus, or if you go to them and you say, look, I am trying to do this and I've done it 10 times and I can't figure it out. What am I doing wrong? Most of the people will say, bring it up on Discord.
Well,
what you're doing wrong. Or bring me into the world.
City now, VR Jen, she's a world builder. She built the McDonald's. If you ever went to the McDonald's here on VR Chat, VR Jen did that, and she is an ocean of knowledge. And any question that that she can answer, she answers it freely and gives that information over. So there are a lot of world builders on here that are not afraid to just to give you the information.
Well, because you're building the community. I mean, the thing is that you are an amazing world builder. You make great worlds. Everything looks amazing. You can't possibly build out every single world in every metaverse. It's just not going to happen. So, you're going to do your portion of it. Everybody else is going to do their piece of it. And together we make an amazing community with different styles of building. So that everyone gets to experience something really incredible each time. I mean, just like the real world, if one contractor built every house in every town, how boring would the world be? Nothing.
Oh my goodness.
You need to have variety. You need to have, some people, for those of you who were in alt space, Matty Boy made fun interactive worlds that had crazy games like that.
Oh yes.
You had people who built like really classy worlds, like artsy, and you would build these like really pretty worlds that were very classy and aesthetically pleasing. Now, there was some of Matty Boy's worlds that maybe weren't all that aesthetically pleasing, but you'd been in there for 4 hours playing the game.
Exactly. Fun is I don't know what. Yes. Agreed.
Well, thank you very much for coming on and sharing this with us. Like I said, to any of you who are out there and maybe had a little bit of lag, The video will be up on Discord up on YouTube later tonight, and in the Discord we'll have a link to it. But it was more on cue in there because the recordings are done on PC. But it was great to be able to see what you showed us. So thank you very much, Kipp, and thank you for all the things that
You're
you've
so welcome.
done for Crypto City to point. Like right now, I mean, this has been
Anytime.
great working with you. Appreciate you.
You as well. You as well. Thank you for having me, and thanks to everyone who came in attendance and also who've been in the class. Without you guys, none of this stuff would be possible. So I thank you. I thank you very much.
And then next week, we are actually going to have Satomura is going to be on, and he's an incredible digital artist who has been making a comic book series based on worlds here in VR chat. So it's going to be really exciting to see him come on. Actually, his interview next week was part of a networking event that I did over in Horizon with Boss Leo. We did a gift exchange of services. So and I had done an episode of Crypto City to help promote someone, and he won this. So he's going to come on and share his story with us, his journey, how he decided to actually create something so fantastical as this, and there's actual VR chat worlds in his comic book series, which is pretty cool. So we will see all of you next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And again, we're going to do these training classes once a month. And next month will be Aussie, guys. So thank you very much.
Yeah, Aussie.
Everyone, and we'll see you next week. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. Take care.